1,955. That is the number of days it's been since the last piece of Johnny Test animated content we've gotten. But that all changes today, because on this day, Johnny Test is back. Hello everyone, NICKtendo here, and today we have a very special video, because today I'm going to be reacting to the first episode of the Johnny Test reboot. So about a year and a month ago, on March 15th, 2019, a trailer dropped on the official Johnny Test Wildbrain YouTube channel promoting that we were going to get new adventures with Johnny Test. The trailer kept things very vague, and for months we really had no idea what the format of this was going to be. We didn't know if it was just going to be a web series, we didn't know if it was going to be a full-on reboot on Netflix or Cartoon Network or what. It wasn't until January that we got our first taste of what this was going to look like. I found out that the online portfolio for the animation studio Smash Bits contained little bits and pieces of what looked to be new animation for Johnny Test. And I say what looked to be because it looks almost identical to animation that was produced for the show like 10 years ago, like back in 2008. I was also told a couple more tidbits from the same source. This included that there's going to be a Tinymon Go themed episode. Tinymon was their Pokemon parody, and now it's being modernized to parody a game that came out in 2016. There's going to be a YouTube-themed episode, which they already did before, but as we know, Johnny is very popular on YouTube, so we're gonna have to see how that goes. And a Beach Monster episode. Again, they did that in Season 1. I'm not really sure how much more you can expand upon it, but we'll have to see. And all the voices have apparently been recast. I've talked about voice actors on Johnny Test being recast multiple times and how it's kind of a big deal when the show's been running for so long and some of the sound-alikes don't sound exactly like the original actors. So to see that the entire cast is going to be recast is a big deal. And apparently, I don't even think they reached out to the original voice actors. I talked to James Arnold Taylor at New York Comic Con in October. Keep in mind, this was like 6 months ago. And he said he had not been contacted about the reboot. So I have a basic idea of what to expect when I watch the very first episode of the Johnny Test reboot, which is launched today. I just gotta say, Wildbrain has been doing a fantastic job on their YouTube channel of promoting these. On Tuesday, they posted a live stream of Bling Bling Boy doing the lo-fi hip-hop girl thing. Unfortunately, it's only a 1-hour video instead of an ongoing stream, which is pretty disappointing. It definitely made my day, even if the animation is a little crude and not much is going on in the background. But now that I've finally laid down all the groundwork that brought us here, let's finally get into it. Let's finally watch the first episode of the Johnny Test Wildbrain YouTube channel reboot. I know that name is confusing and probably doesn't make any sense, but I can't think of anything better, so let's get into it. Before we get into it, this video is brought to you by Skillshare. People often ask me, how can I make my videos look as sexy as yours? The short answer is don't sleep. The long answer is by building upon what you already know and seeking out new abilities to take on. Skillshare can streamline the process of learning something new with its expanding catalog of lessons that it offers in topics like graphic design and creative writing. It's ad-free and very affordable, with an annual subscription costing less than $10 per month. I can feel my brain expanding with every class I take, and I especially recommend Nikki Stevens' one on making the most of stock footage. I usually find stock to be a distracting addition when I'm editing, but this workshop did a nice job showing off how it can add emotion and exactly how it should be chosen in a simple way that I thought was quite accessible. The first 1,000 subscribers to click the link in the description will receive a 2-month free trial of premium membership. It's an easy way to support this channel, and hopefully Skillshare can give you a sense of accomplishment when things are a little uncertain. Alright, so this is called the Legion of Johnny's Johnny Test the Lost web series. Starting out with a lie, I know this was not produced when the original series was conceived, so we're off to a great start. I love the Spider-Verse vibes of this music. I mean, these title cards look kind of nice. Oh my god. The animation looks exactly the same! The writing's about the same. I mean, the voices are a little different. Of course, no one's gonna notice.
There's no way this won't be awesome.
That was not a good line. It seems like they did an original score for this, so I gotta give them credit for it. Gotta love Italian stereotype Johnny. Big fan of him. Really glad we're meeting some new characters in this reboot, really adding to the mythos. I kind of lost track of what's going on. Oh my god, is that Evil Johnny? Evil Johnny? I'm pretty sure this is a new location. I don't think there was a bowling alley in the old show. The background looks pretty authentic. You can definitely tell that it was done for a different production. Like, the shading is a little different. And this loudspeaker, I don't think you would see that, like, electronic effects. I can see the animation's a little more economic. There's a lot of characters speaking off screen, so they don't have to animate the mouth movements. Oh my god. Evil Johnny. Why is he British?
Hey, Johnny, I gift you.
Yes, gifts! Gift jokes! I like how that Dookie's just a little bit off from the second voice actor. Like, it's like a subtle decline from the original voice actor. Italian stereotype Johnny is by far the most entertaining part of this. And like oh, I'm hearing some whip cracks. I feel like between this and the original series, they got the style almost down, but there's some like very small differences. Johnny's voice actor has a bit of James Arnold Taylor in him. Like, it's a little similar. It's not a bad match.
Yes?
What was that cut? That was such a slow cutoff. I can tell there's a lot more zooming and cropping. Like, some of the headroom isn't that good. Yes! Sequel episode! I think I've terrified you with my face for long enough. Let's dive into some proper analysis. Part of the reason why Johnny Test has been such a fascinating topic for me was because of how it was basically the same exact show for its last 5 seasons. Going into this reboot, my expectations were not high, and I was prepared for changes, but I was quite entertained by how its attempts to recapture the original are so close, yet so far from hitting the mark. The humor is of a similar caliber, it just feels off due to the imitation voice cast, and because not every single joke is punctuated with an in-your-face sound effect or a guitar riff. I think both Italian Stereotype and Evil Johnny deserve spots on my character tier list, because I love how their generic gimmicks are played so straight. We even get a final scene that hints at Evil Johnny returning, and I like the active attempts to serialize these shorts with this foreshadowing. There are continuity nods to the original series with Joni, and the climax, where the day is saved with flash photography, is just like in the pilot episode, Johnny to the center of the earth. A variation on the classic whip crack sound effect even popped up a few times, so clearly the production team did some of their homework. Like the original series, there's an occasional use of smear frames, but they're lingered on for too long. I appreciate the attempts to add more visual flair, but the end result is simply distracting. Some of the characters' outward-facing irises also cut into the sides of their pupils at an awkward angle, and that too is a poor design choice. Ultimately, I feel that having slightly slower and stiffer expressions and timing make this the inferior product. But for a web series, and likely one that had little time to be animated, it's a pretty decent imitation. It's still not the worst that Johnny Test has ever looked. I think the original pilot still has it beat.
Is I, Golden Boy. Don't cut me off!
The one constant I can still rely on from this franchise is still intact. The creative title cards. Having Spider-Verse-inspired music and lettering fit the premise of the episode very well, and it was fun to sort through the unexpectedly large assortment of pop culture references. I was able to identify Powerpuff Johnny, Steamboat Johnny, Dookie Johnny, Donnie Thornberry Johnny, 2000's MTV Johnny, Calvin and Hobbes Johnny, Fred Flintstone Johnny, Beavis and Butthead or Mission Hill Johnny, Glasses Johnny, Sissy Johnny, Tommy Pickles Johnny, Brain Freezer Johnny, Bo Johnny Horseman, Steven Universe Johnny, and finally Pickle Johnny.
Boom! Big reveal!
Let me know if you can name any more. So the first episode of the Lost web series was, decent starting point. So naturally the next thing Walt Brain does with it is scrub it from the internet 3 days later. And then...
Whoa. Didn't see that coming.
Shortly after the League of Johnnies was released, to expected disappointment, we got news that Johnny Test was getting a full-on 2-season pickup at Netflix. Instead of a vague teaser, we got a press release that detailed how it will pick up where the old show left off. Interactive and hour-long specials are planned to launch alongside it. Creator Scott Fellows will return in some capacity, and a look at the art style, which is a redraw of a screenshot from the first episode. The original was among the most expressive moments of the entire series, and while I prefer the bolder outlines and wider faces, the reboot appears to be going for a slightly more detailed look. The background is lusher, and most importantly, it looks like a lot of care and attention was put into making it authentic, but still unique. Everything I've heard about this revamp has gotten me more excited. A ton of staff members from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic are working on it, and the majority of the storyboard artists are women, so the crew is clearly very overqualified, I mean very lucky, to work on a franchise like this. Technically, I did see this reboot coming, due to some stealthy tweets from a legitimate Canadian script clearance site and a meeting Wellbrain held with shareholders where an executive said that it hadn't been announced yet, even though he implied that he wasn't supposed to be talking about it. That was still left in the transcript. Whoops! Then in January, Dookie's second voice actor, Trevor Duvall, accidentally hinted that the original cast would be coming back, which was a response to me talking about the completely separate shorts. Thanks for reaching out, but also, whoops! Even though it was on the air for 9 straight years, Johnny Test feels like such a small franchise to me, so the thought of it operating like Star Wars, where there's separate productions simultaneously working on the same franchise, is crazy to me. Hopefully, the remaining episodes of the Lost web series will surface online soon, perhaps at a time that doesn't overshadow the good press that the Netflix reboot is trying to spread. I'm glad that its signature brand of subpar quality with moments of genuine effort that appeals strictly to 10-year-olds is still alive and kicking, but the prospect of having a genuine and ambitious successor excites me just as much. It's fitting that this short is a parody of Into the Spider-Verse, because it's Johnny Test's first steps to building a cinematic universe of its own.